to an all-new reaction and review. Tonight, guys, I'm checking out a comedy from 2014. That movie is A Million Ways to Die in the West. Now, the only thing I really know, guys, outside of a large portion of the film's starring cast, is that not only does it star it stars Seth MacFarlane. It was also written by a fan of a lot of Seth's work. I'm not just talking about his recent stuff either. I'm not just talking back to when he was a writer for Johnny Bravo back in the mid-90s. His episodes of that show were amazing. The episodes of Family Guy that he himself wrote, which, if memory serves, were most of the early ones, were amazing. Almost every time that Seth is tasked with sitting down and writing something funny, funny shit happens. So I do have high hopes going into this thing because I know that the person writing it is capable of writing funny stuff. Beyond that, I really don't know much else outside of the fact that it's a Western. I honestly don't even remember anything from any of the trailers or any of the TV ads, so I'm going into this sucker almost totally blind, minus the fact that I know it's a Western comedy and I know a couple of the cast members. So I do have hopes. I do want this thing to be funny, but I have no earthly clue, guys. The only way I'm going to find out, though, is if I shut up and I push play. And I'm going to do that right now. So, without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out A Million Ways to Die in the West. You know, guys, I think I found a little bit of a problem with this movie. It certainly has moments that are incredibly funny. The problem with that is that the funny bits are spaced out. Within the first 20 minutes or so here, I've seen like 3 funny jokes. That is terrible. Especially when I've seen a ton of attempts at humor that fall completely flat. I see delivering on the laughs as it should. I think I figured it out, guys. I think I know one of the big problems with this movie. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that I'm a fan of Seth's writing, alright? I've been a fan of Seth MacFarlane's writing for years. I'm also a fan of his voice work. When you put him in front of a camera and you ask him to act, he can vocally act fine, but his body language is shit. He literally is he's just sort of there. And while he's telling a story with his, voice, on his face, you can tell he does not want to be there. He doesn't feel comfortable on camera. It really is pulling me out of this movie. There are some genuinely funny moments here. But goddammit, Seth fucking MacFarlane should not be in most hurts. And I gotta put up with this, guys, for about another hour and a half. Yay. You know, guys, I'm really waiting for the humor to kick in again. We've gone about 20 minutes or so. There hasn't really been anything funny. I can see that there are attempts, but none of these attempts have actually borne any actual laughs. And it's beginning to become a little bit depressing just how unfunny this movie really is. So, we just had a cameo from Christopher Lloyd as Doc Brown, working on the DeLorean in the Old West. Was there any joke with that, reference? No. It was just Doc Brown there for the sake of being there. Would have been nice if we'd have gotten a joke with it. Would have been nice if we got more than just, 30 fucking seconds and then a little bit of the Back to the Future score playing in the background. I mean, I would have loved any sort of joke to tie into that outside of, hey, everyone, look, it's Doc Brown. Remember in the movie they went to the Old West for reasons. God, I am dreading this movie more and more, guys. They have failed to be funny for about the last 45 minutes. The best thing we've gotten is a reference, and they couldn't even affix a joke to it. This is really fucking shit, guys. Just saying this right now, guys. I'm still waiting for this movie to, get funny. I'm still waiting for a nice string of jokes that are actually funny. I haven't gotten that yet. I think we can count the number of genuinely funny jokes up to about 5, maybe 6. The fact that this movie's been going for 90 minutes, and that's it for our net funny worth, that's bad. That is awful. That's terrible. I hate this. I can't wait for this turd to be done. Well, guys, that was A Million Ways to Die in the West, and wow, that was awful. Let's shut that off. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay, Jesus, God, where to fucking start? Okay, the writing. Let's start with the writing. That seems to be the most logical spot to go. This movie's supposed to be a comedy, right? I mean, that was its big marketing push, it's a comedy. Why isn't it funny? And I'm gonna say right now that I think I know why most of the movie was not funny. It's because it's the same fucking joke, repeated ad nauseum, for damn near 2 hours. It was funny once. Once. At the very start of the movie, Albert has this big rant about how the Wild West sucks, and how the frontier sucks, and how you are going to die doing almost anything. How there are dozens of ways you can fucking die, and medicine is awful, and the doctor is a quack, and the fucking mayor's been dead for 3 days, and no one's bothered to move the fucking body. That entire speech was funny. Unfortunately, then almost every other joke is, it's the West and it sucks. Oh, I got married at 9 because it's the West and the West sucks. Ooh. And nobody ever smiles in photos except for this one guy in Texas. And that means he must be insane because you sit for 30 seconds because it's the fucking West. Ooh, yay, the West. If they could have done, if they would have done something more creative with it than, lol, because West, it would have worked. And guys, do you want to know what's sort of weird about that? I've seen a few other Western comedies. I've seen Blazing Saddles, I've seen Cannibal the Musical, I've seen Wagons East. All 3 of those did something similar to this, where they would basically try to mock how god-awful the West was. But you see, they would do it like once, maybe twice, and then they'd actually put real jokes in for the rest of the fucking movie. This? No, like every other joke is just basically about how the West is racist and it's sexist and you will die any fucking day. It actually gets kind of tedious and tiresome really fucking fast. And the jokes that aren't about how awful the West are sex jokes and piss jokes and shit jokes, and none of those are done particularly well either. So most of the humor here falls completely flat. So now we have a comedy which apparently is clinically allergic to being funny. So now you need to hope for the story to be decent, for the characters to be interesting, and none of that is here either. We follow Albert, who is a sheep farmer, who's a colossal coward. He really hates to get into fights. He doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, he doesn't do drugs, he doesn't do anything. He lives the most sheltered life in the history of the West, but is still able to bitch about all the weird little goofy failings and faults and foibles. We follow him. He is the dullest character you could ever meet. Now, that's partially because 99% of those, oh my god, the frontier sucks and the Wild West sucks, ho ho ha ha, isn't this ever funny, comes from Albert. So most of his dialogue is just mocking the West and talking about how he wants to move out to fucking Frisco, because apparently that is a bit more colonized than the, fucking Wild West, and there's less risk of death. And he just isn't an interesting character to follow. And everybody who kind of sort of floats near him whether it be fucking Anna or Edward or Foy or any of the other characters, none of them are interesting either. Most of them are either massive douchebags. Foy especially comes off as that, and my God, his entire like joke fucking base is I have a mustache and I sell mustache fucking supplies. That literally is the entirety of his character, and that's where almost all of his jokes come from. That, and he mocks Albert for running a sheep farm. The character has no personality beyond that. None of these characters have any fucking personality. Ruth. The closest thing Ruth has to personality is that she apparently is the most popular whore in the whorehouse and refuses to have sex with her boyfriend until they're married because it wouldn't be Christian. And they crack that, and they crack that gem off about 4 times over the course of the movie. It wasn't even funny the first time. Guys, it just keeps going. The writing here was fucking terrible. Now, one big issue with this, I think, has to do with the movie's runtime. You see, comedies benefit from being rather short. That honestly is why most fucking comedies that almost everybody says are amazing are usually about 90 minutes or so. Because, you know, you want to make sure that your jokes are going at a nice pace and that you're telling your story, but you want to make sure that the audience is laughing for almost the entire run of the film. When you stretch that out to almost 2 hours, as they did here, and your jokes are not hitting as well as they probably should, that honestly just causes everything to fall apart. I want to mention this. I watched the theatrical cut of this movie. The theatrical cut is 1 hour and 55 minutes, and the unrated cut is 20 minutes longer. Which means that some dipshit out there, some retard at fucking Universal thought that we needed a Wild West comedy that A, was not funny, and B, runs 2 hours and 15 minutes. No, that's... Now, considering that there was almost nothing funny in the theatrical cut, I really don't think that adding 20 extra minutes of probably more failed fucking jokes is going to help at all. The writing here was awful, and what makes that even more depressing is this was written by 3 guys. 3 guys who are regular Family Guy writers, especially, you know, the early seasons of Family Guy, you know, when the show was fucking good. What the fuck happened? I mean, look, guys, when I see Seth's name as a writer, I usually think that good things are going to come. Who the hell were the other 2 writers again? Let me just check that quick. It was Alec fucking Sulkin, who normally writes pretty well, and Wellesley Wild. Well, Wellesley's writing, my God, I think we may have found the problem, because Wellesley Wild's writing is kind of shit at times. But still, you had 3 people who know how to write comedy, write a fucking Western comedy, and they didn't make it funny. That is fucking depressing. What's even more depressing is the acting, you see. I mentioned earlier about the film's star, which is also the film's writer, well, one of the writers, and the film's director, and that is Seth MacFarlane. And Seth is great at voice acting. The man has 5-6 really decent voices, and he can make that shit work, and he does it really well. But my God, is he ever awkward on camera, you see. One thing, guys, that you need to have if you're going to be on camera is you need some kind of, like, a stage presence. You have to actually look as if you're comfortable on camera, as if you care about being filmed. You want to be filmed, you know, and that's going to help your performance along. Seth looks almost fucking petrified in every single shot. He seems incredibly stiff. He does not look like he's comfortable there at all. And since we follow him through most of the fucking movie, that means that we get to look at this awkward fucking acting, this awkward fucking body language for almost 2 goddamn hours. That is shit. That is straight up fucking awful. I will say that in terms of how he acted, in terms of voice, it worked, but that's because that's what Seth does. Seth is a fucking voice actor. He knows how to make his voice work. But my God, he cannot put voice to body language and make it fucking work. Evidenced at this movie's evidence of that. He cannot physically act. Guys, I never thought I'd have to say that. I never thought I would find a movie where somebody sounds comfortable on camera, but physically isn't. That's so fucked up. But Seth MacFarlane pulled it off, and that is just shocking. What's even more shocking is there are a handful of amazing actors in this film who didn't fucking try. I mentioned Foy earlier, the character whose entire character is mustache, hey. He's played by Neil Patrick Harris. He didn't put any effort in. He fucking sucked. The film's villain, Clinch, is played by Liam Neeson. Liam Neeson sucked. And I've said this in other movies. You can hand Liam Neeson damn near anything, and normally he can make it work. But normally, he at least puts some fucking effort in. This was lifeless. This was pure 100% lifelessness from Liam Neeson. He was there to cash a check and nothing else, and that's fucking sad. One person who didn't shock me with their shit acting was Sarah fucking Silverman, but that's because Sarah Silverman can't fucking act. And, of course, she was playing the town fucking whore, so at least she's used to playing that, because apparently if her stand-up is anything to go by, that's how she is in real life. But my God, she just couldn't fucking pull it off here. And our other big star, Anna, is played by Charlize Theron. She's the only one who really seems to care. She's the only one who honestly seems to put in any kind of fucking effort. Nobody else did. Almost everybody else fucking phones it in, and that's partially because just the fucking script that was handed to them was that bad. And when your fucking star is just as awkward as possible, and Liam Neeson and Neil Patrick Harris have both completely fucking checked out, I really don't think anyone else is going to fucking care, because just look at this shit. It all just screams failure. Going back to writing, because this just popped into my head. Do you want to know what the low point was in this movie in terms of humor? So, there was a fucking, gunfight, or there was going to be a gunfight, and Albert was able to, talk his way out of it. And he ends on a joke, and he walks off, and he left his gun in the middle of the street. And I was sitting there thinking he was going to come back and he was going to grab his fucking gun, saying, that it was in his family for 3 fucking generations or some such shit. And he does come back, but he doesn't come back to grab his fucking gun. He comes back to explain the fucking joke that he fucking ended on. He had to explain the joke. And the joke was that he had to explain the fucking joke. That sucked. That was fucking awful. Holy shit, was that ever bad. Yeah, guys, just the writing and the acting in this movie was fucking hideous. That just stunned the fuck out of me. Is there anything else? Oh, God, let's see. Camera work here was decent. I can totally say that much. It was filmed incredibly well. It was lit really well, and the sound mix was done fantastically. Our score was fantastic. The score here was awesome in terms of music. But now let's talk about the stuff that isn't the backing score. We have one really hideous song about fucking mustaches, which unfortunately is really, really catchy, and it's not catchy in the fucking good way. It sucked the first time you hear it, and then it's going to be rattling around in your fucking head for about 10 minutes, and you're going to want to kill yourself. The only other real song we have is, at one point, Albert says that he has to give a Muslim prayer before dying. And what does he do? He does the Tarzan howl from the song Tarzan Boy. No, it wasn't funny. Wasn't funny in the slightest. In fact, it made me almost cringe when within about 3 notes I went, wait, is he just doing the howl from Tarzan? What, goddamn it, he is. And then it continued. He kept doing it, and it was fucking painful to listen to. Now, mind you, there actually is a plot fucking relevant reason for him to have, done something which takes that long. I just wish it was something funnier. I wish it was something that was a little bit less shit. So, anyway, the music that is not the film's score is awful, but the film's score itself is amazing. I fucking loved it. Special effects. I didn't think I'd have to talk about special effects in a fucking Western. It's not often you get to talk about special effects in of all things a Western. But there is a little bit of CG in here, and what is here is done incredibly well. Some of it honestly has to do with things like gore, like when the town gets its fucking shipment of ice, and it's this gigantic, like, 1-ton block of ice, and they're fucking trying to pulley it off of the back of the wagon pulls out, and everybody's trying to get it all set up, and then the pulley gives, the ice block falls, and it crushes somebody's head, and blood splatters, and it's CG blood, which normally I have a bit of an issue with, because it usually looks incredibly fake, and it did happen to look incredibly fake here, but it actually was kind of funny, and it was done, and it was done for humor, and it worked. So I am not going to question that. During the big drug fucking trip scene, when we had a bunch of mustached sheep dancing around singing that god awful mustache song from earlier, and then they all synchronized piss and fucking arcs, I really didn't need to see that. I also didn't need to see oh god, at one point, as Albert is hiding from Clinch and his men, he's hiding amongst his sheep. And he's lying on his stomach, and he looks over, and one of the sheep's penises is out, and it's an obvious plastic penis, and it pisses in his face. And it would probably have been a little bit funny if it was for, 2 seconds. But no, it is a long standing shot of 5-6 seconds of this sheep pissing in his face. And it wasn't funny, at all. But I will say, at least as far as plastic sheep fucking penises go, that's probably better than most. I don't know. I'm not exactly an expert on that. So what is here in terms of plastics and all that is fine. Our CG here is okay. Some of it honestly stands out really bad and it looks kind of shit. But oh well, that's usually in real short shots. Going back to writing for a sec, because I just talked about the synchronized pissing scene the synchronized pissing segment of Albert's horrendous drug fucking trip. I want to talk about the toilet humor in this film, because that is another problem. And it's a problem that has also befallen Family Guy, and probably was some of the episodes written by Alex Salkind or Wesley Wild, which would not shock me at all. And that is when you see some kind of a bodily function thing, such as the sheep pissing. It is a long, extended scene. When Foy has got the fucking shits and he has to grab people's hats in order to shit in them, the camera stays on him the whole time, or almost the whole time, and it's literally, guys, just 2 minutes of him shitting in people's hats. And it stopped being even moderately funny after 10 seconds. So, once more, this movie could probably have done with a fuckload of editing. It didn't have to be almost 2 hours long, because there's barely fucking enough interesting shit here for 90 minutes. I am almost terrified to think what the hell is in that extra 20 minutes that went into the fucking unrated cut. But you know what? I am not going to see that, because at the end of the day, am I able to recommend A Million Ways to... Sorry, guys, I kind of stumbled on that oh my god, this thing is so terrible. At the end of the day, can I recommend A Million Ways to Die in the West? No! Fuck. No. Hell no. This, guys, I've seen a lot of stuff written by Seth fucking MacFarlane. This is by far his worst. Unquestioned. It is unfunny. It is overlong. It's trying too hard to tell the same joke again and again when it was only funny once. Okay? This movie is terrible. I went into this thing, guys, with hopes, because I know that Seth can write well. I know that Alex Sulkin can write well. There's evidence of this. I know that Wellesley Wild, when he actually tries, he can make shit kind of funny. But here, no, none of them fucking tried to write anything funny, and that much is obvious on screen. This movie is trash. Start to finish, no, I can't say from start to finish. Like I said, there was the fucking opening speech from Albert about how the West sucks. That kind of worked. Everything else, no. Now, A Million Ways to Die in the West came off the Amazon wishlist. The person who sent it in was my friend Stu. You can find his YouTube channel at youtube.com/user/thevodkahaze. Stu, I thank you. I was really curious about this. You sent it in. It really sucked, but oh well. Such is life. But hey, dude, I honestly wouldn't have known. I'm sorry, guys. My brain is fried by how shit this movie was. Once more, that is youtube.com/user/thevodkahaze. I'm going to go do something else, guys. I need to wash the taste of this out of my mouth. You know what? I've got fucking Deadwood on Blu-ray. I've had it for almost a year. I still haven't watched it yet. I'm going to go watch that. I'm going to go watch fucking I'm going to go watch a few episodes of Deadwood. Hopefully that will be better than this. It almost has to be. Anyway, guys, with that, we come to the close of another reaction and review. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, take care, and I will see you all in the near future. Peace.